under stress, and it could be selfish, it could be personal reasons. You don't want to. I mean, but when things happen. You're not going to be able to do this. Now, these negative things that when we are under stress, and it could be selfish, it could be personal reasons. You don't want to. I mean, but when things happen. You're not going to be able to do this. Now, these negative things that when we are under stress, and it could be selfish, it could be personal reasons. You don't want to. I mean, but when things happen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? This is Dr. Larry Thomas, and this is the Dr. Larry Thomas Show. I want to tell you all thanks a lot for tuning in, and I appreciate all your support. Let me start by saying this. Shout out to all my fraternity brothers out there with Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated as we are getting ready next week to celebrate our Founders Day. So, ow to all the frat that's out there. Also, I want to, a lot of you have been wondering because some of the things have been posted out there on Facebook about Poppy. Okay, those of you know who Poppy is. This is a rock that I found out in New Orleans, Louisiana. The name of the group, it was Lafayette Parish Rocks, and these are individuals who paint rocks. They place them strategically all over the place. People can find them. They can either hold on to them, they can place them somebody else, or they can take them, keep them for themselves, and travel around. So I've been taking this rock with me to travel around, and people on Facebook actually named it, and it's Poppy. So Poppy is here with me too, and Poppy says hello to everyone that's out there. So last week, as we talked about what was the most painful thing anyone's ever said to you, and I think that was a pretty good discussion. I think that everyone had great contributions to that, and I look forward to possibly having that same type of interaction this week. But this week, we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about walking in faith, walking in power. Now, what I mean by that, as we know, there are times in our lives when our faith is tested. When the path we walk, it seems to vanish into the darkness. We're left standing on the edge of the unknown. There's the cynicism as to what's going to happen next. That's the uncertainty. It's during these moments that we truly discover what we're made of, and the strength of our faith, and what it means to actually walk in faith in everything that we have, that we surround ourselves with. You know, a lot of those little voices, and you've heard me say several times in past shows, that little voice in the back of our heads that, you know, gives us that doubt, that we hear when there are times of despair. We hear it telling us, you know, well, you're not going to be able to do it, or there's the uncertainty, those things that kind of try to chip away at our self-esteem. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that voice there, but then let's get back to talking about faith for a second. Okay, having faith is not a passive act. As we see people walk around and we hear the term used of people in faith, and we see faith as a weakness because these people tend to be rather passive, rather subdued, when actually what they're doing is they have a level of comfort within themselves when they walk in faith. They know who they are, whose they are, and they also know how to conduct themselves accordingly as they move around this land. And so it's not, and having faith is not a passive act. In fact, having faith and choosing to walk in your faith, it's a choice. Regardless of what you believe in, whether it's God, Allah, Buddha, any type of higher power, the universe, whatever you choose to believe in, understand, whatever that is, we are all granted free will. And free will is our ability to make that choice. It's a conscious decision to trust in something that is much greater than ourselves. And even when we can't see a way forward, we have the faith to know that when the sun is shining and everything is going our way, it's easy to have faith. It's easy. It's easy to have faith when everything's going right. But the true test of your faith comes when things are not going right, when things aren't going the way that you want them to go. When it seems like you're always, stumbling over, or you're always facing these challenges, all these things. But the true faith, as many of us know, the true faith is a kind of faith that can move mountains. True faith is a kind where you believe in what you're doing. You believe that you are protected. You believe that you will succeed. You will not fail. You just have to keep going. That's what the faith is. And it's faith is forged in the fire of adversity. When you are facing those challenges, that's when your faith gets tested. We all walk around saying, okay, I believe. But until that is put to the test, then that's when we really find out about ourselves. And that's really when we can radiate what we believe, or those portions of ourselves, we can radiate that to others as we go through our walk. Now, to make this a little more personal, just like everybody else on here, I'm a real person. I have my challenges just like everyone else. So you allow me to just go into a little full disclosure for myself. I know we had someone on last week that was going through some challenging times, and I understand that. We all go through those challenging times, and our faith, as I was saying, our faith does get tested. And that person that spoke last week, clearly her faith is being tested as well. And I hope that you're listening, and I hope that you're encouraged by the words that I'm getting ready to say, or that I've said thus far. I remember a time not long ago, not very long ago, when I felt like I was walking down through the valleys of hardship. It wasn't because of the people around me so much, or some of the things that were going on. It was just the internal things that I was dealing with. And every step, it was like taking a step of faith. I was on the, there are times when I was contemplating, suicide, because I didn't feel that my life had much value, and these were hard times. I felt that, I was a failure. I could have done things better, in many aspects, and I, realized that, there are some that they were not as fortunate as me. I realized that I have to keep walking. I have to keep taking that faith. Times I felt like I was suspended over a cloud. It was like a cloud that was walking over me. That was hovering over me every time I walked, and it felt like, I was scattered. Didn't know what I was doing. That little voice, doubt, was whispering in my ear. You're not going to make it. You're never going to be successful. And these are voices that maybe, and don't get me wrong, I'm not schizophrenic, but these are just voices that came to me when I was in high school, and then other times in my life when I had trying times. I also had people tell me that no, you're not going to do anything, you're not going to be successful, you're not going to achieve things. And I realized, I had to first start to believe a little bit more in myself, even when those people around me didn't believe in me. And I know that once I, started to minimize that voice, because that voice sometimes it can be paralyzing. That voice can make you feel as if you're not going to achieve anything. It can help you. It can cause you to question your self-worth, question your value, and that you don't have a place in this world. You often hear me say I was an awkward teenager and I turned into a socially awkward adult. These things are true, but I am a functioning awkward adult, if there is such a thing. And as I look back, I've had many successes, but I know these successes came because I didn't allow that voice to allow me to falter. Because I was able to still, make some accomplishments, and I used that voice as a means to fuel my fire to want to go do things and want to, achieve certain things. And that's kind of, I guess what got me where I am now and kind of put me on the path. Yes, the voice comes sometimes still, but the thing is, I know now because I feel comfortable enough within myself to tell that voice to back up off of me. I feel confident enough within myself to tell that voice, I hear you, but you're a little voice and I'm a big person of big faith. And rather than you telling me that I cannot do it, I believe in myself I can do it, and I believe that I'm protected. I have faith to move forward. And I want you, whoever's listening to this, within the sound of my voice, whether it's now or later on you listen to a recording, you are protected. You are, worthy. That little voice is just that. It is a little voice to a person with a big spirit. And you need to own that. You need to own that, and you need to walk in that. Now, having faith, because people also believe that, this person, that they have faith because they're not certain of themselves. But faith is not the absence of doubt. In fact, faith is the courage to move forward in spite of the doubt that you have. When people around you are being doubtful of you, people around you telling you no, you're never going to be able to do that. Just because you weren't able to do it doesn't mean I won't be able to do it, and I'm still going to give it a try. And you all the same. When you are unsuccessful, don't accept that failure. Understand that's your first attempt in learning. And so you may have to revamp things, you may have to try again. But sometimes faith is about understanding. Even when you can't see that road ahead, you know that you are not meant to dwell in the darkness. And I had to come to that realization, understand that myself too. I'm not meant to dwell in the darkness. I'm meant to move forward. And one thing that I've adopted is the fact that, and a lot of those who know me will tell you that, will say that I'm somewhat of a busybody. I do a lot of different things, and part of the reason is because I know that I have a lot to give. I know I have a lot to do, a lot to give, a lot to share, and I also know that any mistakes that I've made, and I want you to adopt this too, any mistakes that you've made, just understand that if you're listening to this, obviously you woke up this morning. And what that means is that there's still work to do, and there's still a chance for you to make whatever wrongs right. It is a chance for you to move forward. And it's another day. Each day is a new beginning. So embrace that and walk in that. Now, any of you all want to contribute anything to the conversation, or tell me about your walks in faith, or any of the like, I encourage you to call in 954-240. I'm looking at the marquee as you all are looking at it. 8928. So that's 954-240-8928. And call in, share your stories, your comments. You can also post here in the chat. I would love to hear from you and what you have to say. I'm using this time right here, this airtime here. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to have faith, because having faith and someone's walk in faith is a very individual thing. Your walk is not going to be the same as anybody else's. Your challenge is not going to be the same as anybody else's. But we walk in faith. We walk in faith. It's not about having all the answers. We know that no one knows everything. I'll be the first to say, and as I tell my students, yes, as I stand before you, and as I sit before you all here, and as you listen to me, yes, I have a doctorate degree. That does not mean I'm the end all of all knowledge. I learn every day. I learn something from everybody, whether it's from my kids to any adults I interact with. I do not know everything, and I'm a sponge, and I will soak up information. It's not about having all the answers, but it's about embracing those questions and trusting that there's a purpose to this journey that you're going on. Understand that. Understand you have a purpose. Understand you matter, and even when it's painful, even when it seems mysterious, it's uncertain, when your faith is truly tested, put to the test. It's about knowing that every test that you go through is in fact an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to grow. Every setback, as you've heard the saying, I'm sure before, every setback is a setup for a comeback. Now, faith also requires you to take ownership in some aspects as well. As you understand that as you go through this walk, that you do this by faith, and you are protected, guided by higher power, whatever it is that you believe in. But also understand you have, when you hear that little voice, and that little voice knocks you down, when life knocks you down, when the people around you say things about you, say things to you, either in your presence or in your absence, that tear you down and they try to damage your reputation or do any of those things, understand that you can overcome any of these things. If these things knock you down, that's fine. That's fine. Because sometimes we get knocked down and it's not our fault. People always say, oh, you need to take responsibility for what hand you had in whatever fate. For example, Job. And you all know I'm not the Bible guy. I don't talk about the Bible and all this stuff, but real quickly, let's talk about the book of Job, where Job was knocked down. He was really put through it. He was really put through it. But here's how this relates to what I'm saying. When you go through it, you're put to the test and you get knocked down. If I see you, or I run into you a month later, a year later, several years later, and you're still down, then that is on you. Because once you fall down, you can't go any lower. Get back up and get moving. Understand, have that faith both in a higher power and with yourself that you will be fine. Walk in faith, you're going to find your way even through the darkest of nights, even through the most, loneliest times of your life. And there will be times in your life when you feel as if that higher power themselves may have turned their backs on you, turned their back on you. There'll be times when you feel that, you have no one you can turn to, no one you can talk to. That no one else shares your pain, no one else understands what you're going through. Just understand. Look, we have a call coming in. Hello, you're on the line with Dr. Larry Thomas. Who I have on the phone here?
Sarah.
Who?
Sarah.
Oh, hey, what's up, Sarah?
Hey, how you doing?
All right, hold on. Got another call on. Hold on. All right, we blowing up. Who we got on here? Hello, who we got on here?
Tawanda.
All right, Tawanda, Sarah. Alabama, Connecticut. All right, folks, y'all heard what we talking about. I'm talking a little bit about walking in faith and being empowered, right? Part of one of the individuals that called last week, because I know you all listened to the call last week and you all were in on the call last week. One individual asked last week, it seemed as if she may have been losing faith. She may have been losing faith as a result of her situation, and she seemed as if she felt like she was in despair. And I know that situation isn't just, isolated to her. I'm sure a lot of us feel that way. I felt that way many times, and we just have to acknowledge that. So what do you all think? Tell me about your situations. How do you believe faith relates to this? Or Tell me about your walk in faith. How has your faith helped you? And I say faith, I don't just necessarily mean faith as in religion and stuff like that. Yes, we know of a higher power, but what is the faith like? Belief in yourself, belief in your abilities, belief that you are protected, of course, by the higher power. But how has your faith helped you to get through some of those tough situations?
First of all, I'm just in awe right now. I did listen to the beginning of your show, and you have touched me in so many ways, and I just want to let you know that your big sis, I am so proud of you. I would never have thought that anyone else besides, I don't want to say just quote ordinary people go through life and go through challenges, but everyday people as well goes through the ups and downs, goes through those irrational nights that they don't think that they're worthy, or they may not think that their life doesn't count any longer. I did try to reach out to Lucinda, which I did, and she didn't feel comfortable coming back on. But I told her, it's okay. I want you to take down the number. I want you to just go on your Facebook and just see the beginning of the show. I don't know what's going to be happening on the beginning of the show, but I was just told for you to just watch the beginning of the show. And I know she's feeling the way I'm feeling right now. I'm just in awe of everything you came in public to say, because a lot of people who feel the way they do, they keep it to themselves. They tense up, they hide up, and they don't put their value to come forth and tell the people how they're feeling, especially coming from a man's point of view. So first of all, I just want to let you know that I love you, I love your family, I love your kids, I love you, and you do have a friend in me. Now, when we talk about trials and tribulations, as we all go through life, we all go through, maybe when we're younger, older, midway, halfway, we all go through something. And like you said, that I grew up in church all my life, and I can tell you upside and down what faith is and what faith's supposed to do. But we all know what faith is. But until you go through something personally, that's when I think faith kicks in. When my dad passed away 2 years ago, I couldn't understand why, God would take this great person and take him away from me. But at that point too, I knew, if the viewers can understand what I'm trying to say here, that I knew that I also had to praise God too. And the death that I was going through, the feeling of sadness, the hopefulness, the lonesomeness, not having a daddy any longer, I knew that without my faith, I couldn't have gone on. I had to praise God through it all. And that just made me stronger. It just made me more open and more loving to God, that I know I can do all these great things that God said to me. But you put us through a test though. And I think I've been through a lot of tests throughout my life, but when my daddy died, that was a big one for me. And trying to hold everyone else together and trying to be there for everyone else. But I knew without a doubt that if I love God, and we're not going to, like I said, we're not going to get into that, but our higher power, who may be our higher power, is that when you know who you are in life, and you know without a shadow of doubt that this is who you are, there's no way no one can cut you down. And someone asked me, well, you just said that you lost your dad, and you still have faith, and you're not cursing God. No, I'm not. Even through the tears, I was still giving God all the honor and all the respect that He is due. So faith, it's a lot. It's a lot to me, and I just thank God throughout the years I got stronger, much stronger, because without faith, as we know, we can't please somebody. We can't please God. We can't please ourselves. We gotta know who we are, or who we are, and I think going through the losing my pops, it just got me more and more closer to that faith, and know that I know who I am.
Okay. Sarah.
Yes.
Lizzie and Sarah, tell about how your faith has helped you through, and you said something pretty interesting, Tawanda. I'm gonna hit back on that from my experience.
Hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I meant to tell everyone that y'all keep Sarah in prayer. She just lost an auntie, a very close auntie, this past weekend. They just had the burial of her auntie. So y'all forgive her. She's not as opening, but I know my sis. So Sarah, we love you and we're praying for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss there, Sarah.
Yeah. I feel, we get lost sometimes because we always want to know why it's us and why so much happening to us. But sometimes I have to step back and think, and most time we put in problems, that's the time God be wanting us to put our faith in Him,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
We have to look at ways.
Yeah, you get a testimony without a test.
We think it's not being selfish, but in a way it's like you being selfish because it's always our wants and needs. And like you said, you have to have encouraging words and stuff, and people that have your back, and you just need somebody to talk to and give you encouragement to keep going on. It's just not you going through stuff.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Very true. Now, I will say also, during my personal journey, I have been for a period there. Me and the higher power had some issues, and my faith was tested, and I gotta say, I was, to an extent, I was failing the test. Because I was like, I understand all of this stuff, but you ain't have to do all this. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we think that, okay, I understand, having faith to do all these things, but sometimes you say to the higher power, when you say why me, you also think, you ain't have to do all of that now just to get my attention. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, for a little while there, but I also understood, and I realized, of course, as I matured, my faith, I was still, even though it seems like sometimes you may walk away or appear to walk away from the higher power, whatever it is that you serve or acknowledge, well, it still doesn't walk away from you. It's still there. And that's where that free will comes in, when you have to make your way back. You got the free will to do that. And I went through some tough times, and there's still times. I still have tough times now, like everybody else. I still have my challenges, things I have to reflect on, and I have my challenges. Just put them that way sometimes. where I have to just refocus things and realize that, hey, you know, you got it. I tell myself, hey, you got to get it together. Oh, I got a call coming. Hold on a second. All right, who we got on the line and just called you on with Dr. Larry? Who is this? Brianna. Oh, how you doing, Brianna? All right. You still working, right? Okay, good. You coming in static. You're not sure why, but tell me about how your faith has gotten you, or how have you? Tell me a little about your walk in faith, or your belief in self, those things, and how you've done that, how it worked out for you, I guess.
Explaining how I walk through faith.
Yeah, like how you've been tested, and you how your faith may have been tested, and how are you keeping the faith? That's that can be a challenge.
I would say I've been tested by, like, say, family members, people in general, kind of like getting out of cancer, and I have to remind myself, like, to, work on my everyday, work on a lot of people to get frustrated, and just stay humble, and just taking people's things, the greatest time, to try to just person, to also be mindful of what somebody's saying, like, how everything that they said.
Okay. And interesting. I'm actually going to talk about that later in a future show. Humble, being humble. Now that's very important. But I have a different take on being humble and being a narcissistic person. But we're gonna put a pin in that and visit that in a few weeks on a different show. So now I want to say this to you all, and there also anybody else who wants to call in. Number is 954-240-8928. In life there comes a time, and you can jump in any time, but there's times when our faith is put like to the ultimate test. When those storms and uncertain of doubt and uncertainty, when it seems like, how we're just many parts of the country, especially here on the East Coast, preparing for these hurricanes that will come in and hitting the East Coast. Y'all familiar with what I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it seems like, we're in the midst of that storm, and we're in the midst of that hurricane, and everything around us is just all chaos. And that's the chaos of all those naysayers, those people that want to kill your dreams, those little voices, all those times uncertainty, the times we have to deal with the losses, we have to deal with a lot, and sometimes getting certain wins can cause us to feel despair also, because we get these wins, and then along with those wins come a certain level of responsibility, and sometimes we're like, why me? You know what I'm saying? And we're moving to the next level, whether it's getting promoted at work, whether it's moving on to just other positions of greater responsibility. Well, it's a greater weight, and that our faith gets tested too, and sometimes that faith gets tested, of course, by other people, as you just said, Brianna. People will test your faith, and people will attempt sometimes to bring that side out of you that's not necessarily going to put you in the best light, right? But it's during these times when we have these trials, these tribulations. This is the time when we can discover the true essence of our faith, and how we can walk in it. And the way that we walk in it, that's what matters the most. That's what matters the most when we encourage all of this, right? Because as how we walk through our faith could be the example to others that there is light at the end of the tunnel because they see you going through the light at the end of the tunnel. That makes sense to you all?
Yep.
So now, as you all know, and those who have watched the show before are very familiar with, when I bring up certain things and I talk about these things, we also talk about how do we engage in this walk. And it's some of the things that work for me, and hopefully these things may work for you. And Sarah, Brianna, Tawanda, definitely jump in and share with me as well. Because again, hey, a lot of these times, a lot of these topics, a lot of these things that I talk about, yes, I talk about it to share it with everyone else, but I also talk about it because these may be things that I need to hear because I just like many other people, in some ways I'm broken. And so I need to work on these things. And that's something a lot of people are not going to admit that. A lot of males not going to admit that. Yes, some areas I'm broken, some areas I'm not, but we all, have room for improvement. So the first thing when you start your walk, you got to acknowledge your doubts. You got to acknowledge that, the first step when you're walking in faith is when your faith is tested. Acknowledge that, you don't know what you don't know, but it's okay to feel uncertain. It's okay to have questions. It's okay to wonder if you're on the right path. A lot of times we ask ourselves, I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. Well, doubt is not the enemy of faith. Remember that. Doubt is not the enemy of faith. It is a natural step in this journey as you start to walk. It's when you confront those doubts. That's when you are able to address them head on and then move beyond those doubts. Because if you don't address them, then it's just going to keep coming back. And if you allow it, they will wear you down. What do y'all think about that? Anybody?
It's true. I definitely believe everything you had just mentioned about being having insecurities, if you're having a lot of insecurities about yourself or even about someone another person, and I used to call it, I used to have this friend, and she used to call me every day, but never had anything positive to say. Every day it was just something more like demeanor or more like she wasn't happy, she wasn't life wasn't good, and it's like every day, and I had to take a look at myself because I had to see to myself, because if I wasn't strong in my faith, or if I wasn't stronger, you could get sucked right down with that person. So you have to be really, really secure in who you are, especially when you're dealing with a person that is not happy with themselves and just not happy in life, period. You really have to be careful. And I try my hardest not to entertain that company. And I say company because sometimes people just want to see how far they can get to bring you down right there with them. So when I see different things, my light just go off with me automatically, like, okay, Tawanda, you need to you need to stay away from this person, or hey, it may be times that I may feel inside of me like, okay, I may feel that spirit, like, okay, maybe Tawanda, maybe we need to address, let her know that things are going to get better. But I'm telling you, things are going to get better every single day, but every single day you're telling me not. Things are not going to get better. So I know for that point in my life, like that, trying to explain and to comfort a person, first of all, they have to love themselves and comfort themselves too, and see where they're coming from in life before they can accept anything good that's coming their way towards them. So
very important.
is very important, so much important. So is that it's so important that you can tell from a person that's doing that, or they're just trying to drain your battery, or they're just trying to bring you down. But you need to know you need to be firm in your walk and firm with yourself in order to try to even help somebody else.
So be and a part of that, be mindful of the energy that you allow around you.
Yes, very important. That's so important. And I'm not trying to show off or make it seem like I'm all that. But I can tell different energies around me. I can tell by just by the spirit of how they walk. Don't ask me how. Maybe it's just a God's presence with me. I know what it is, but like I said, we're trying to keep it. But
okay, see, what you got?
That's true, because it's all about your intuition. Everybody has an intuition about somebody. Sometimes your intuitions could be wrong, but sometimes, most likely, they really be on point about something. Right.
Yeah. And it's been
like I say, misery loves company, so
Yeah, misery does love company. People love to just try to either make other people do bad, or
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, you do have some people that seem to always have something negative to say. Now, the easy thing to do when we're around people that always have something negative to say, the easy thing to do is just avoid those people. That's the easy thing to do. But the challenge to your faith and to radiate your walk, because when you're around those people that always have something negative to say, believe it or not, that's a test also.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it may be, and I'm not saying to go out and attempt to change the world and all of this stuff, but what I am saying is, spend some of that time giving these people some encouragement too.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a time sometimes I was that negative person. It just so happens whenever I run into one individual, and it was always something that was going on, and then they were like, well, you can handle it, can't you? You can handle it, and it's again, this is my younger self, and I felt like the doubt as if I couldn't handle some of the things that were going on. But of course, and sometimes you need someone to tell you, hey, you can do it. You got this.
You do it.
And then you have to believe it yourself. So, Brianna, I know you're there trying to be quiet. So, what do you think? This is the first step.
I think what Auntie was saying, like, I had a best friend growing up as well, and we both had mother issues. And when we were younger, we would complain, my mom was this, my mom was that, but like after a while, when I got older, I started working, I started, getting my own income, and I started living the best. I was going to school, just stick to it, and then from work, by the time I get home, either my mom's at work, or she's too tired, and I'm tired, and I just do the same day over and over with. But like eventually, she didn't want to work, so she was getting everything jealous that I started to get happier, and I was trying my hardest to convince her, just get a job, you don't have to be stuck at home, start applying for colleges, like, it's our time to shine. And over time, I used to notice that she would always say, you have this glow to you have this glow, like, why are you so happy? And I'm just like, well, that can I be happy? This wrong with me being happy. So after a while, I would just feel sad. I would get bummed out because of her energy. And then when she sees that I'm sad, it's like, okay, now she's sad with me, let me do what I can to build her back up. But it was just like, if you would have just let me continue to be happy, you wouldn't need to build me back up. Like, it was just weird, but it was also hard to just, ignore her, because that's my child's best friend, and ever since I was distance. You know, but every time I had to keep my distance from her because in some things, vice versa, she moved away for a good 5-6 years and kind of separated everybody. I'm gonna, you know, start my own life. But then she eventually came back home. And it's the same thing, the same pattern, the same sadness. And I'm just like, why are you so sad? What's wrong? And it's like, I have to be the cheerleader for her to actually be happy. And it's just like, what is it that's making you so sad?
And that can be.
How can I help you? Yeah, how can I help you feel better? And it's just, I did nothing. It's just, be miserable with me or just leave me alone.
And sometimes two takeaways I get from what you just said. Well, sometimes, yeah, I mean, you do have to. I mean, you do what you can do, control what you can't control, and some people you just have to, you know, love them from a distance, right? Now, that's the first thing I get from that. Because, yeah, you can't allow that energy to, for lack of a better word, to contaminate your well-being and your walk, and discourage your faith.
Right.
But now also, something that I've learned along my walk as well, and this is just I guess I had like 4 steps, but this I had like 6-7 steps, but this is like a subset to that, right? Understand, and you don't always know it, and sometimes there may be times you'll never find this out, but then there will be those times when you do find out, and you'll have that renewed spirit. And what's the word I'm looking for? I guess, and it contributes to the confidence in your faith and in yourself. Mm-hmm. There are people, believe it or not. Now we always know, and we always hear all the time, you know, haters are gonna hate. You got haters out there all over the place. You all familiar with that, right? Mm-hmm. But also understand this. There are people who are silently cheering for you. There are people who are silently cheering for you. We don't acknowledge them because sometimes we don't acknowledge them because we don't know who they are. But what we do, we give the attention to the negative things. When something's going bad, you hear people say, "Oh, the devil sure is busy." Or when something's going, when things are going bad for us, you know, all them haters, I gotta shake off the haters and this and that. You know, people saying this, but there are people that are silently cheering for you, right? There are people that, like how you, Brianna, said that, you know, your friend said that you have a glow about you, right? Well, here's the thing. See, sometimes there are people that see things in us that we don't necessarily see in ourselves. You know, we don't necessarily see it in ourselves, but some of the things they see in us, they see that light. They see that light that we radiate to those around us. We don't feel that light when we're walking in that walk. But again, people see how you're walking and they see you shine. And sometimes that affects those people. But then also, again, you have people that are silently cheering for you to succeed. They're sitting back, they're watching. And sometimes they're watching you, cheering for you to succeed because your success may influence them along their walk. Think about the people that you've seen and you're like, wow, this person did this. I can do this. If they could do it, then I could do it. Because you've seen how this person has moved to whatever level of success. And of course, success is a very subjective thing. Some people, success can be, you know, having a car. Some people, success could be money. Some people, success could be fame. To some people, success just could be being healthy. Success is different things. But when we look at, just think of the people that you looked at, that you've allowed to, that you sought inspiration, or you found inspiration in those individuals just by watching their actions. Well, people are watching you too. You're inspiring people. People are silently, there are people who are silently cheering for you. I spoke to someone, this is a few years ago. A few years ago I spoke to somebody, and I told, he was one of my Army buddies from a long time ago when I first came in, and then when we were in Germany together hanging out. And then I just happened to cross paths with him again, like on Facebook, and then we spoke a couple times on the phone. And, we talked about, how my career had gone, and then I retired out, and, some of the things I did, and that I actually got commissioned, became an officer. He said, I always knew you would do that. He said, I always knew you could do that. He said, because I could see then that you were cut from a different cloth than some of the other people that were there. And those that were around with us. I could see you were cut from a different cloth. And it just shocked me. I mean, this like 20-something years later, and he says that to me. That was just, these are people that were like, they saw things in me I didn't necessarily see in myself. And then there are people that were, as I looked through when I was in college, and there were people I was hanging with, let's just say they didn't necessarily have the best behaviors. Let me put it that way. They weren't going to college, but they were doing other stuff that was out there. And they would tell me, hey, look, if this happens or that happens, you need to get in your car, you need to leave. Because you're not going to do what we do out here. You're about to move forward, and I won't. They would say the term "make something of yourself," but when I use those terms, that make it seem as if I'm better than anybody else. But they say you have different aspirations, and if you don't leave this situation right here, then now you're gonna have a problem with us. You know what I'm saying? Because they wanted me to move forward. They were cheering for me. They were like, look, and I look back at times when I got promoted. There were people that were, of course, you had some people. You're always going to have those group of people that are wondering why or have some negative things to say. But there were also people I believe that were legitimately for me and were happy for me and shared in that. And I don't think we celebrate those people that secretly cheer for us. We don't really acknowledge those people enough. So understand that along your walk, as you're walking, you're not alone. You're not alone. Sometimes it may seem like you're alone. A lot of times it may seem like you're alone because your walk. Never alone. Your walk is just that. Is your walk. But there are people. Just like how you have to have faith. And of course, as they say, you have to have faith in the unseen, right? But you also, part of the unseen is not just a higher power. Faith in the unseen that, those around you, that energy that's around you, that want you to succeed. They want you to be successful, want you to move forward, and they legitimately cheer for you. So understand that as well. People, think of how many people that don't even know that you are watching them, and yet they inspired you. They impacted you in some way, shape, or form just because you saw them, and somewhere in a piece of them you may have saw a piece of yourself and imagined or imagined the possibilities that you too could move forward and accomplish those too. And that's part of walking in that faith. So now, the second step, and I'm not going to go through all 7 of the steps. This is not a class. So but we'll go through a couple ones that I think are going to be good for everyone as well. And of course, call in 954-240-8928. But reflect on your foundation. Reflecting your foundation. What I mean by reflecting your foundation, when you go on your walk of faith, and you starting to feel that self-doubt, you starting to feel that yourself being in the fire, being in the eye of the storm. When you see this and you experience this, reflect on your faith and ask yourself these questions. What do you believe in? What do you believe in? What values, what principles do you allow to guide you? What's for you? What do you believe in? What guides you? Because your faith is like a house. right? If it's not built on a solid foundation,
All right, Pastor.
then it's got to be standing in that face, in the face of adversity. Stop that. In the face of adversity, right? If it's not on a solid, if it's not on a solid foundation, and again, what are your core beliefs? What got you? Remind yourself of why you chose whatever path you chose in the first place. Why it's important that you keep the faith. What were the things, the lessons that you learned? Either the lessons you learned that you felt were good lessons and you want to reinforce, or the bad lessons you learned and said, I do not want to be like this person. I do not want to do this. Because some of the best lessons we learn are from the things we don't want to do, right? So what are some of those core foundations that you hold true? What are the values you hold true? Now, I could easily, I'll throw in this, if you teach a person when they're young, then when they get older, they won't stray away from that. So you have to go back to your core foundations. What are the things you learned when you were younger that you still hold true? That's what gets you to where you are, and that's what's going to ultimately get you through. Sometimes you have to go back to the beginning, go back to the basics, as they say, and we've all had to do that. So let me hear y'all input on that. Brianna, let me hear.
Okay, what do I believe? I believe in respect. I believe in unity. I believe in love. I believe, I don't know. I believe in peace. I believe in helping people out, helping those in need.
So when you have those hard times, what are some of the basics that take you back? For example, when you called last week and you said there was a person that was very challenging for you,
Right.
takes you out of your character.
Right.
You got to keep. What are some of the things that keep you, let's say, in character? What are some of the things that enable you to have the faith and not? What enables you to teach? What values or what causes you or inspires you to take the high road?
Crazy.
When I'm feeling frustrated, if I feel like somebody is really pushing my buttons, I like to have space from everybody. I like to just have game time, have personal time for myself, so I'm not stressed out. I literally just walk everybody out until my heartbeat goes down, and I can really write down and really go over in my brain why I'm upset. And then I realize what's the source of my anger. I have a conversation with myself, ask myself, is that important? Ask myself, if I need to distance myself from that person. Ask myself, if I can come to a common agreement with the person. And if not, then I just like to just have space from others. I'm an introvert. I like to keep to myself. And I like to prove to people that I feel like can be a good role model. I reach out to my aunt, I reach out to certain family members if I really need help. If not, then one time out of 10, I'm usually fine if I just take a walk. When I'm frustrated, I take a long walk, I go to the park and just clear my mind, or I go up to this little spot where they have a nice waterfall, and just really try to clear my mind.
So self-care enables you to have a stronger walk.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a deep one, isn't it?
I feel like me talking to certain people keep me grounded, but I feel like certain ones
I feel like they don't passed on that was close to me. I feel like they're my angels and they walk with me. So I feel like I'm always gonna be protected. And I get led and guided in the right way. So,
Okay, yeah. And that's true. They are. They are always going to be right there for us. And sometimes, that's the thing to have to understand. It's tough. It's tough to have to deal with that. It's a tough thing to have to deal with. But yes, that's true. I agree with that. All right, Tawanda, go ahead. Go ahead. Cause I put you laugh because I already know, Tawanda. Go ahead. I already know.
What keeps me grounded is nobody but God. I can look back over my years when I was growing up as a little girl, in a family that I felt that I wasn't loved enough, or I wasn't told that I love you. Going through that for many years, and I used to say to myself all the time, when I get older, when I have children, I will never ever be that way. So one of the biggest things that keeps me grounded is my children. My children, now again, I'm not trying to boast of you, but they have been there for me throughout anything that I may need, any encouragement. I thought I'd be the one to be encouraging them at half the times, but they'd be encouraging me 90% of the times. And but yeah, I think in the get-go, my children has set a lot of boundaries about me being a mother, choosing to love the right way and not the wrong way, as those who raised us, chose the wrong way. But hey, down the line, hey, nobody but God loves me. I can go back what my niece is saying. I'm like that. I'm 32. I am fine. I'm fine all by myself. A lot of people are like, well, gosh, Wanda, you're this, you're that, you're beautiful. Don't you ever get lonely? No, I'm not lonely. No, I'm not. I'm capable fine being by myself, and a lot of people can't handle that. A lot of people just can't sit home and just don't do anything, or they gotta be doing this, gotta be doing that. Not me. I mean, I have some food, I got me a cocktail, I'm all right. And sometimes it takes a strong person to say that. So I can definitely relate with my niece about that. But also, when God loves you and you know that that's all you need, and you can see me now, I'm smiling like from ear to ear, because God loves me, and that is enough. I don't care who may not dislike me, don't like me, blah, 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 but God loves me. So I'm never alone. I'm never, ever alone, because I know God loves me. He got my back no matter what. I know I can close my eyes tonight and say my prayers, and everything's going to be well. All's going to be well. If it's not, God's going to make it to the point that it's going to be okay. So
Right.
my trust is so firm in the Lord right now, and I just love Him so much. I don't even know if I shared this with anybody. Yesterday, the apartment building that I live in, we have 20 floors, and the fourth floor apartment building, one of the 4 floors of the building, almost burned down. And we were on the news, and I didn't know I was on the news, but usually the false alarms, we get a lot of false alarms, so I don't pay no mind to it. They go off. I said, they're going to turn it off in a minute. But this one didn't go off, so I wasn't feeling quite well. My knee was bothering me yesterday as well. So I opened my door and I smelled smoke. I'm like, yo, wait a minute. I'm still up in here. But in my apartment, all we got to do is like, yo, open it. So we got this thing that we put in our bathroom, and they come upstairs. So they came upstairs and said, like, man, why are you still in the building? You know, you're supposed to, you gotta get out of here. You know, and then he was like, I was telling him about the situation about my knee. I really need someone to help me down the stairs. And he said, yo, I tell you what, you just stay. You stay right in your apartment building. The access is on the 4th floor, so, you know, if you get a little bit of water damage, you can get some water, but I'm affirming that everything's gonna be alright. But when I see that water coming in, I'm like, okay, I see water. But anyway, but through it all, I knew that everything was gonna be okay. I trust in God, and I also, you know, hope and pray that the person on the 4th floor, they were okay. You know, they were here from like 4:30 to like 7. So it was really a big deal getting on the water, because we got special sprinklers in our apartment building that when they go off, they shoot water everywhere. Like wherever fire you got in your apartment, it's going to shoot out before the fire department comes, which is good for these newer buildings.
Very good, yeah.
So, you know, you got a lot of water coming in and going out, and I'm like, okay, God. I'm all right. You know, I did smell a little smoke, but I was all right. You know, I wasn't scared. I wasn't, you know, I was like, you know, worried about the people upstairs, but like, my little apartment was safe. But that's what all my trust and belief comes in God. My faith, how I deal with my daily walk, how I get up in the morning, how I have devotion with my knees, my prayer every single morning. I don't waver. I don't stop doing what I do, what God puts on my heart to do, because sometimes if we are good at stuff and we fail not to do it, God will take our gifts away from us. And I shared this to you bro, once. Don't stop doing what you love to do, because if you do, He will take a lot away. And we don't want that to happen.
None of your gifts are yours. Your gifts are given to you for you to share with the rest of the world. You know, and if you're not going to use it, then yeah, you will lose it. You know, your gifts are intended. That's why we have people that can have #1 hits and they don't do anything for 20 years, and all of a sudden they try to come back and it's nowhere near as good. And it's because they're allowed to not use their gift for so long that it's taken away from them. Now, you said something that was important. When you mentioned Sarah and also Brianna, support. Seek guidance and seek support from other people. And you know, I don't know why these keep popping in my head, but I'm not even gonna go there. Just if a group of you all have the same beliefs, right? Then you know that provides good support for each other. That provides good support for each other. Now, you know, sometimes the wisdom from other people that may have had similar circumstances, may have had similar experiences as they went on their walk, they can provide clarity. They can give you some of the strength that you need. Now, when we talk about being, when your faith is being tested, right? It can feel like you're alone. And when I say alone, it's like you can be in a room full of people and yet still feel lonely. Because you are the only person that's going on this journey. You are the only person, and when you hear those voices of self-doubt and all those things, and be very careful how you talk to yourself, and you don't reinforce those voices, because you live right in here. You live here. You live in this body. You can't get out of it. You live in this. This is the house that you live in, and you start to allow these things to contaminate your house. It's like termites; they eat away.
and they eat
Yes,
the
man.
spirit, they eat away.
Yes.
You have to be careful of those. And
And you're right. I hate that. I was doing really good now, but I hope you noticed that.
Go ahead.
I had a buddy. It's a song that we sing at the church. It's called, we have to encourage ourselves, and it's so true. We need to encourage ourselves, because if we don't, no one else is going to do it, and we can't look to for everyone else to encourage ourselves. We have to encourage ourselves. And we wake up in the morning, oh man, it's going to be a bad day. No, it's not. Come on now. If you think it's going to be a bad day, if you're not going to declare it, this is going to be a good day, then you're going to have a bad day.
Stop right
If you wake up in the morning,
Stop
if you wake up in the morning.
Stop right there. Sarah,
Yes.
what did I tell you to do every morning when you wake up?
So, yeah, I remember.
Well, let me hear.
So, Brianna,
Every morning I did it. Every morning, still do.
And how's that working for you?
Working out great.
encouraging yourself. That's right.
And that's
right.
Cut you off, because that's exactly you speak those words of encouragement into yourself. If no one else tells you that throughout the day, if no one else
tells you that
throughout your life, last year, last week, last month, if no one's ever told you that, you
gotta tell yourself,
and you believe
that's
it.
right.
You know,
I am who I am.
I'm not so good what I heard. I forgot what I heard. So they say you gotta be happy when there is happiness. And it hit me very hard. Gotta have positivity. You gotta be positive and then be just happy about it. Because it's still you don't want to be happy at the end. You gotta be happy when there is happiness.
exactly.
And because I heard that, and then I'm trying to tell it again. Amen?
Now for you, something that you said that was very important with the self-care and taking the time off for yourself. You got to, which really is a step 4. I'm going to run through these real quick, right? Embrace patience. And as you go through this journey and your walk in faith, embrace patience. Patience with others, patience with yourself. You have to embrace patience with the process. And that's
not always easy to do.
No, it's about trusting.
That is not always easy to do, especially when it comes to loved ones.
Yeah, you have to trust in the journey, even when it feels like you're standing still. When you and those persons are still making. You got to know that some tests of faith, they take time to resolve. You know, trust that there is a purpose waiting, right? And that your growth occurs in between those moments. When it seems like you're standing still, it's not that you're standing still. You're growing. You're growing beyond the circumstance. But you got to embrace patience and understand that sometimes it's a marathon. It's not a sprint to the finish. It's a marathon. So faith is not about being about instant gratification right away. It's a process, and you got to work through it. You know, you got to also you got to have gratitude, even when it's hard. Even when it's hard. To have when you're going through the process and you feel discouraged, you feel upset, and you need to feel encouraged. You got to have that. You're in the midst of those trials or tribulations. Don't forget to have gratitude, because you are, you are moving forward, and you are going to make it through it.
Yes.
Even though it feels like you won't. So you got to take a moment to acknowledge the blessings that are in your life. Instead of focusing just on all the bad things, focus on the fact, I woke up this morning.
Amen.
I got that done.
That's right.
I did this, or I did that, check. Acknowledge instead of acknowledging all of the bad things or the big cloud,
come on now.
Acknowledge the small wins. Acknowledge those.
That's right.
Right? take time to acknowledge that blessings in your life, no matter how small those things are, because right here,
and also we need to do, as women, we need to go ahead on and take our own selves out of some time. It's all right to go ahead and dinner by yourself.
All right.
Go see a movie by yourself.
Nope. What we're not going to do. What we're not going to do now. We're not going to isolate this just to women.
I'm just saying that it's okay as women, because I know men go through it too. I know that, but I'm just saying.
We all need to take ourselves. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah,
we need to take our. That's right. We need to take. That's right. Spend time with yourself. There's nothing wrong with having to get going out to dinner.
I'm going. Young ladies, miss. Hey, I'm gonna go get my nails done. You know.
That's right.
You may say I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna do that. Because of my profession now, I do go out every now and then and get my nails manicured and cleaned up so they don't get dirty, because I be doing stuff. But now, because of my profession, I have that neat appearance. So I'll go out now. I'll get a male manicure, have them clean them up, and that kind of stuff. No polish and none of that. I don't do all that. But I have them just go and clean it up and everything. And that's just something I do for myself. Like, hey, because I'm like, hey, I'm worth it. Now, when I'm...
And then again, it don't take a whole lot of money to to make yourself happy either.
Yes.
You can just go right down the street and go get yourself a hot dog. Go get you a chili dog and a pop. That's my pastor say, because he's from Ohio. They don't say soda, they say pop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't take that much.
Sit outside and understand. When you feel despair, you feel like the world is coming down on you, and you may feel like the higher part of yourself is not even has turned their back on you.
And he hasn't.
Sit outside and look at the sun.
The trees.
It's up every day. Look at a tree. Look at a tree. A tree.
The birds chirping. Anything, the birds chirping.
Has grown. A tree has grown to this big, huge structure that has birds living in it, has squirrels running up and down it, and all of that started from a little seed. Somewhere along that journey, you won't have a tree without a seed. You won't have that tree without the rain. There's been rainy days. There's been storms. The trees can't go inside when it's a storm. The trees got to go out there and weather the storm. When it's raining, when it's hot outside, we talk about how hot it is, 100 degrees outside. We go in the house. Those trees got to sit in it. They got to survive the heat. You got to survive the heat when it's cold outside and it's snowing. The leaves gonna fall. The tree looks bare, but it's still surviving. And guess what? When spring comes around, the leaves come back out and it's new. I can do this for a tree. Now, if the higher power can do this for a tree, you don't think it can do it for your problems?
For us, that's right.
It can do it for us.
That's right.
You started. All of us started as a small seed. We started as a very small egg. We started as a very small egg, and we have grown to what we are now. And now, let's put this in perspective. And I'm not here to give a biology class either. But when this little egg that's there gets...
You had it right. It's a seed. You said it right.
There are millions of cells that go to fertilize this egg.
One egg or two.
That goes to fertilize this one egg. Now, you're that one egg. You're one of many eggs that was right there that could have been fertilized.
But
you were the one that's been fertilized to go. So take pride in the fact that, guess what? At least you're here to go through this storm. Because you look at the percentages, is a whole lot that didn't make it.
Whole lot.
And then you look where we are right now. It's a whole lot that didn't make it to where we are. Didn't make it to where we're going to go for whatever reasons.
Yeah. It's just like taking nothing for granted.
Yes.
Just try not to take anything for granted.
So that's why you need to cultivate that gratitude. You walk in alignment. When we go back to that first one, what are your beliefs? What are your core values? Walk in alignment with your beliefs and with your right?
Say so.
And it's not just about what you believe. It's about how you live based on what you believe. It's on how you live those beliefs. Act in alignment with what it is that you believe in. Your words and your actions, they need to align. In your mentality. Because we all see people that say one thing, they behave a different way. Those things need to be in alignment with each other. And the challenge comes when these things are difficult. Because we all get to the crossroads where you got to make a good decision or a bad decision and which way you're going to go. And sometimes that bad decision just seems easy. But we also know, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes we go ahead, we take that easy road, and where do we end up? That easy road is a circle that brings us right back to where we started at. And if we continue to make that bad decision, we continue to end up right back at that road until we go the right way. So walk in alignment with your faith. Let your actions be a testament to the commitment that you have in your faith, and you have commitment to yourself. Because that's when your faith is going to grow stronger with every step that you take. And last, as we already covered, you got to, and with patience, you got to trust that process. When that seed, when that seed got planted for that tree, it took years for that tree to become this big monstrous thing. It took years for that. No, you're not going to water. You're not going to plant a seed right now and end up with some big 25, 30-foot oak tree in 2 weeks. It's a process. It's a process. Any of y'all ever planted a seed or anything? Y'all ever planted a seed? And when you planted that seed, now did every seed that you plant, did all of those seeds grow? Or did sometimes those seeds die?
Some die.
Sometimes those seeds die. And some make it. But what happens? It's because of the process. And when you see, when we do plant those seeds and we do start to see it sprout a little bit, and we're like, man, this is taking a long time. I want to see. But no matter how long, no matter how frustrating you get, it's going to take as long as it's going to take. And you cannot speed up the process for that seed to grow. That makes sense to you all?
Yeah.
So now you got to trust that process. And when you trust that process, you got to, one important part of trusting that process, you got to trust yourself. You got to trust yourself, because if nobody else is going to depend on you, you're going to depend on you. And understand, yes, there are people that are cheering for you, but no one can want you to make it through your storms and continue in your walk of faith more than you want to make it through that storm and continue your walk of faith. Even when you can't see it, you got to trust yourself. You got to trust this process. Trust it, your faith, in all the things that you're doing and all the actions that you're taking. And the individuals that called last week, and also y'all that are listening, and also you all that I got here on the phone. Understand, your actions are not in vain. You're being shaped. You're being molded into the best version of yourself, which you have yet to become. It's just a part of the process. Just a part of the process. Just trust it. So, Any input from you all? I'm gonna let you go last, Tawanda. Hold on.
I'm speechless.
So, Brianna.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna wrap. Oh, it's 8:30. We're gonna wrap this up. So, give me your last words, Brianna. Let me hear what you got to say.
Basically, I mean that you gotta trust yourself, you gotta stay good and important, you gotta learn when to distance yourself from people, you gotta learn when somebody is helping you or trying to use you, and you gotta put God first.
So, how does this make you feel, Brianna?
It's just like talking about, the things that I believe in and seeing other people's side of you and what they believe in. I just like how we can, I think.
Okay.
Like, be able to hear other people's perspectives and things too.
Sarah.
Yes.
Let me hear your last words, and what do you think about this today?
As I just said, just more self-love to myself and start paying more attention and detail of what's for me and stop putting all that so much interest in others and their problems. I gotta start living for myself and enjoying myself and what's best for me.
Yes, I want you to be encouraged, and heart goes out to you and your family for your loss. I know it's what it's like to lose family members, those that are close to us, that mean so much to us. And I want you to.
I thank y'all so much.
All right, you family.
I thank y'all.
And be encouraged. And I want to. Okay, Tawanda. All right. And I want to hear your final words, what you got to say about this, and then I want y'all to continue to listen as I wrap this up. After you say your final words, then I'll go ahead and cut off the line. Go ahead.
My final words is that we are all loved. Never ever feel that you're not loved. You are loved. You are worthy. You are who God say you are. And no matter what, no man or woman can take that away from you. Continue to strive to be the best person you are, but also look out for those souls, those that are draining your energy and trying to drain your energy on purpose. You have to keep an eye on people like that. Not saying that we can't help them or pray for them, not saying that at all, but sometimes we allow these certain people in our lives to be a different experience, and we don't want that. And we all are wonderful and loved by God in God's eyes. If we start, keep talking positivity in our lives every day, and just every day wake up saying something positive, and just watch how God works, and just watch how things start to move and turning in your direction. And I only can speak for myself because I know it happens to me. Who would have thought that I'd be in my position right now and doing the things that I love to do? That's only because of God's mercy and where my faith is. And I love y'all. I love all of y'all. I love you, Blueberry. I love you, Sarah. I love you, Barry. And I just want all of us to have a good week. Keep God first, and just please. I can't stress it enough that you're never ever alone.
All right, thank you. I'll just keep y'all on, then I'll cut it off then. But I want to let everybody know to wrap all this whole thing up, and of course this is short to show them what we've been used to. But let me end by saying this. All right, everybody, your faith, when your faith is tested, remember the steps that I gave to you all, that maybe we can, as suggestions. Embrace your doubts. Understand that there are people that silently want you to win. Don't just acknowledge on the haters, those people that want you to fail, but acknowledge on those people, or just understand there are people that are watching you from afar, that are silently watching you, that want to see you succeed and want to see you successful, because they see a piece of themselves in you, and you're going to provide that inspiration to them. Reflect on that foundation. You know, what are your core values? What do you believe? And then make sure that what you believe aligns with how you walk in your walk of faith. Seek that guidance from people around you. Find maybe those support systems. That's a difficult thing for me. I'm not really a support system type person, go out there looking for support systems. But if you have those people in your life, and I have one or two of those in my life, if you do have those people in your life, yes, use them for your support system. What I mean by support systems, those people that will create a safe space for you where you can be vulnerable if you have to be, and not people that are going to use this possibly against you, right? Cultivate gratitude as you go through the process. Understand, you know, you are not here by accident. You are meant to be here. Many didn't make it, but you're here, and you're here to maybe go through the challenge, go through this walk, go through this faith. So understand that. Understand you're not here by accident. You just continue to walk your walk. You know, and above all, throughout this whole thing, just like that tree, when you plant that, when that seed was planted, and we all are a result of seeds that have been planted that got us to where we are right now. And no matter, when you were a kid, just about every kid has said, you know, I can't wait till I'm grown. Can't wait till I'm an adult. No matter how bad you wanted it, you had to wait. You had to wait. You had to go through the process. You had to go through the process to get to where you are. So understand that. Understand that in the end, you're going to find that your faith, when you go through all of this, and you reflect back, and you look back now at some of the things you went through, you'll find that your faith was not only sustaining, but your faith, the faith that you have, has the ability to move mountains. Has ability to move mountains, but you have to walk in that faith. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Trust the higher power. And then when you're taken to the test, on the other end of that test is a testimony that's going to help other people. Understand that. Walk in faith, and you're going to walk through the storms. You're going to walk through the valleys. You're going to climb the hills. You're going to get scraped. You're going to be battered. You're going to be bruised. You're going to get scuffed. But on the other side of that, you're going to be stronger. You're going to be stronger, and I want you to own it. I want you to walk in it, because on the other side of that, the new you awaits you. Amen. Because the person of yesterday will meet the person of today that will make you anxious to see the person of tomorrow.
That's deep.
So understand that. Y'all like that? I just thought of that. But anyway. Yep, phone fell. Did y'all get that?
Yeah.
Yep, I just thought of that. Little pearl of wisdom I just thought of off top of the head. Anyway, alright. So, with that being said, I want to tell everybody, thanks a lot those of you that tuned in, that did not call in and wanted to call in, or perhaps you may be shy, but I hope that this gave you empowerment. I want to say thank you to Brianna, to Wanda, also to Sarah. Thank you very much for calling in, and as our faithful listeners. And I encourage you, next time we're on, bring another person with you. Which brings to my next point. Next week, I'll let you all know later on in the week, but I may not be on next week because I'm supposed to be traveling for my job, and then I'll be taking a brief vacation after that. So, worst case scenario, I'll be on in about 2 weeks. But again, 3 Sundays from now. So in 2 weeks I'll be on. But we'll see. But I will definitely be back. I didn't even get a chance. This is going to be 2 topics that I was going to talk about, but this ended up just being 1 topic. So the other topic is going to come back when I come on again, and we're going to talk about. I won't even spoil it. We'll talk about that stuff. And depending on what goes on between now and the next time I come on, we may do another speak on a Sunday and talk about some of the issues that's going on, so we can all build and grow together as a community. I want to say thank you all very much for tuning in. Just hang on the line as I wrap the rest of it up. Sarah, Brianna, and Tawanda, thanks a lot for calling. All right. So, as I like to close every show, I want to tell you all thank you very much for tuning in. You all could have been anywhere at this point in time, and I also understand for some of you, it's NFL football season, so you want to go out there, you want to watch your teams win the games and things like that. Well, I want to say I appreciate the fact that you could have been anywhere this time, doing anything at this time, but you chose to allow me into your space. And with that, I'm very, very grateful. I want to tell you all a reminder, I may not be here next week because I have a couple other things going on, personal things going on, as well as work. But I will put the information out there. Next time I come on, I want you all to tell a friend, tell a loved one, get someone else to join you so you all can listen to this together. And that just creates a much better conversation where we can get all of these minds together and we can all work and live and build and grow together. So I like to end every show. I want to say thank you very much to the sound person, Jean-Claude, and to Radio Tele Emergence for giving me this platform to share with you all. As I like to close every show, the journey of life is a lesson. The classroom is always open so we can live, learn, we can all grow together. I want you all to have a great week as we move forward. Be empowered, walk in faith, and let's go move mountains and do great things. You're not going to be able to do this. Now, these negative things that when we are under stress, and it could be selfish, it could be personal reasons. We don't want to. I mean, but when things happen.